She was the megaphone for that moment, and she was maximizing strong women during her time. She was shaking up the UFC world, breaking the standards and limits placed upon women. More and more, she seemed invincible. There was a lot of expectation put on her to perform, but it was too much. And she tried to keep living up to the high expectation of people, but when that thunderous kick came to the side of her head, it sent her crashing down. When you go down after you've been a champion, there's a lot of street talk against you. And she says, at the end of the day, no matter how difficult it is, I cannot curl up with people's opinions. Tarverdian says, she showed up to train at my male-dominating gym in 2010, and I ignored her. Because the life of a fighter is tough. You make nothing, you get hurt, training is boring and awful. I had to make sure she wanted that fighter's life. He'd tell her to hit the heavy bag for 20 rounds to teach her patience. And then one day it allowed for her to go fight. And this renowned trainer says, wow, this girl was on. That one's born to fight. But he shares an interesting story because she's no longer that girl desiring to be trained. Now she's got some weight of glory on her. He says, I'm going to tell you a story about the flies. Australia is a beautiful country. The people there are warm and friendly. And the scenery is breathtaking. But nobody can seem to do anything about the flies. They are everywhere. There's no controlling them. You can swat them all that you want, but they just keep coming. Every time they came and they sat on your nose, you'd hit them because you were so annoyed. And the same thing happened to Ronda. Tarverdian, as her trainer, he's been a wreck since this Holmes fighter kicked his fighter in the face. And he's asking himself, why did she keep charging forward? What happened to patience, patience, patience? Because that's all he kept telling her in camp. Wait for your moment. Don't chase down a counter puncher. Move your head. It had to be the flies. The pressure of you can't just win, you've got to win faster. You've got to be more explosive. You got to please the big crowd with the big bang. So she felt she had to keep being perfect and keep being invincible. You've got to connect your mind to your heart, and you've got to connect your heart to your source of strength. So the question is, will she fight again? And she answers, of course. I don't know what else I'm going to do. I need to come back. I just have to do it. It's not just whether you win or lose. It's how authentic we are. And the price that we pay is nothing compared to the glory that God desires to release in us. The ministry of woman has nothing to do with someone who's on a platform. The ministry of a woman is that we have the ability to be at service of, to be administrators and carry out the kingdom operation, the conduct and the directives that bring necessary aid to assist caringly and attend to selflessly. So what do we learn from her story? We cannot afford to give ear to the flies. They cannot be allowed to come in and spoil the honor and wisdom bestowed upon us. To be a champion in victory is one thing, and to remain one, even in the face of defeat, is another. Redefining by God's hand is dependent on what we choose to do next. Though a righteous woman falls 7 times, she gets back up. Because defeat is not the portion of his daughters. Victory is